Hi YouTube. So, I recently finished, yesterday, Robert Jordan's first book of the Wheel of Time series, The Eye of the World. So, I finally power audio booked it at work. I've been having a lot of paperwork to do lately, so when there's paperwork, there's the audiobook. Now, I audiobooked it. I half audiobooked it, half read it. Well, this is the first book in a 13 long book series that Robert Jordan endeavored to write and ended up dying basically at the very end. And I remember reading, I did my research on Robert Jordan. He had originally planned to do one more book after the last book he wrote before he died. And when Brandon Sanderson came along, Robert Jordan's the reason why I got into Brandon Sanderson, by the way, because I wanted to read the guy who finished the Wheel of Time series first before I read the Wheel of Time series. I have accomplished this and am really just ready to sink my teeth into the Wheel of Time series, which I have, and now I really want to buy all the Wheel of Time series books on audiobooks so I can just power audiobook them. First we have Rand and Perrin and Mat. These are the three people that everybody paying attention to for a very long time. I don't know how long Perrin and Mat stay in the series. I get the impression that from what I've read, because I'm a spoiler person, I don't mind reading spoilers, especially something that's already been published and people talk about anyway, so you might as well know a little bit about what you're getting into. And I wanted to know what I was getting into. So I looked it up a little bit, and I can't quite decipher what's going on with Perrin and Mat, but I do get the impression that there's going to be a point in time where we're not focused on them anymore, but more on Rand. Which makes sense because we get at the end of the novel that Rand is the Dragon Reborn. And it starts out with the Eye of the World starts out with the prologue, talks about the Dragon Reborn, talks about the person who is kind of instrumental in the whole Dragon Reborn mythology. And so you're really invested in what's going on. And then you have these nobodies from part of the world where Queen Morghese barely has any influence. Queen Morghese is, I can't remember the exact name of the realm, but Queen Morghese is their monarch, and you meet her in the book, but she doesn't have that much overreach with them. She doesn't have that much influence there because they're a farming community. They honestly don't care whether or not she's queen, other than they just hope she doesn't decide to go in and kill them, which makes sense. I mean, honestly, that's a reflection of normal farming communities. That's everywhere. People, most of the time, the normal peons of the universe don't actually care about who's ruling the government so far as they just hope the government doesn't try and kill them. That's almost everywhere. And even here in the United States, I mean, why do you think so many people don't vote? Because they don't care. They just hope they don't die. You know? And so that's an interesting bit of, and that's the other fun thing about Robert Jordan's book is there is social commentary that parallels his world with our world. And it really does. He gets into a little bit with the rulers. And I'm interested to see, how much farther he goes. Because he's built up a lot of mythology in The Eye of the World. Now, I, of course, being the spoiler queen that I am, read up a little bit more on what's going on in the overall series. And I can see where he's going, and I'm curious about the execution, because honestly, I'm going to say this, Wikipedia does a really bad job of summing up the Robert Jordan books. which I don't mind. I'm not surprised. After reading The Eye of the World, it's an incredibly dense book, and I don't know how anyone would be able to sum it up at all without, like, spending hours on it. And there's already people who do that with Tolkien. So, well, I don't think we need to do that with Robert Jordan until they finally come out with a TV series. Which, by the way, I think HBO has the rights for that. Just as a heads up with that one, there might be a TV series. And it will hopefully be good. Excuse me. Anyway. So, we have that going on. We have this dark guy. We have basically this guy who is the equivalent of Satan. And they call him the Lord of Lies. They call him Beelzebub. Beelzemon? There we go. And I can't remember the other name, but it's like his actual name that they're like, don't say that. Don't say that name. And so, like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of, like, world building mythos around this dark lord, and it's very fun to read about it, and has also given me a little bit to think about in regards to my own writing. I'm really thankful to have read Robert Jordan's book, or listened to it at least. I'll probably go back and listen to it / read it again, but it has given me a lot to think about in regards to just how you build up your evil characters. It's quite interesting, because for a while there, like, you almost want to agree with Beelzemon, and then Rand, for some reason, he somehow manages to not do it and comes up with a reason why. And so it's a very interesting, like, it's a very interesting, like, back and forth between Rand and Beelzemon, and it's interesting because it's interesting too, because Perrin and Mat all talk with him, all deal with him, but there is a certain, there's a mirror contrast between how Mat, Perrin, and Rand deal with it. Rand seems to be the one who staunchly tries to actually resist him, while Mat and Perrin give in to their own personal how do I put this? Their own personal, like, weaknesses. Where Rand's weakness is far more emotional than physical, if you know what I mean. He's far less impulsive. It's a lot easier for him to step back and analyze the situation. So you have that. You also have I like to call the Gandalf character. I mean, good lord, I have a Gandalf character. I have two in the same universe. So, I have the Gandalf character. You have the hero. You have the myriad of love interests. I have so far met like 2 or 3 people in this book that I've kind of went, that's going to be a love interest. And that, of course, is before I found out, oh, they might actually be a love interest. And then there's a non-love interest, which I'm not going to reveal in this review, so you guys can read it yourselves, because I know that's how our culture's driven these days, is by love interests. Anyway, so you have more of kind of like that going on. And then you have this whole mythos around the Aes Sedai. Why are women the only Aes Sedai? Why are men unable to be Aes Sedai? What's going on with that? You find out at the end of the book. You really do. It's very interesting and kind of exciting. Just to kind of see, like, wonder, how is Robert Jordan going to write him out of this seemingly large corner? How is he going to do this? So there's that. There's a lot of fun stuff going on with The Eye of the World, and it's impossible to talk about it all. And I would need to continuously read it, honestly, to be able to talk about it all. But these are the highlights. These are the stuff that these are some of the impressions that I took away from it. And one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys about before you guys read it, if you haven't already. And if you want to talk about more about what's going on in the eye of the world, go on ahead and leave a comment below. I love talking with you guys about my books. Please comment so I can talk with you. Y'all have a good day. I give this book a 5 out of 5 star review. 5 out of 5. Have a good day, y'all.